Hello people of the world, Don't Know Gaming here, and welcome back to F1 My Team Career Mode. Here's the car. Not gonna look like this for very long, but let's first do what we're gonna do with the time before the Spanish Grand Prix. The Spanish Grand Prix is a track I not necessarily like, but it's gonna be okay. We're looking at upgrades, and we can't quite do the major upgrade I wanted, so we're going to do a minor front downforce upgrade, just to get that better turning for when it actually goes on the car. And like I said, it wasn't going to look the same for very long, because here's our new livery. As I've been playing the game, I've been going through the podium pass, and this is the new car for the rest of the season. Looks pretty cool. Got more black on it, because black is one of our main colours. But that's enough speaking. Let's get into qualifying. So here we are for our first lap in qualifying 1. This straight is pretty long, gets a good amount of DRS use, but it's not as long as Baku or Vietnam. Coming into turn 1, we go a little bit wider than normal, but that puts us on the curve for turn 2, and then that's us done for qualifying. Gonna be starting P20 or P21.
The Spanish Grand Prix has been a permanent fixture on the Formula One calendar for over 30 years now, and for good reason. Do you remember Michael Schumacher's absolute dominance here in that rain-soaked Grand Prix in 1996? That day he took his first ever victory for Ferrari, and we've had many more iconic moments since. It's a sellout crowd of 140,000 here today as we await lights out for the 730-metre sprint down to turn 1 of this 2.9-mile racetrack. Overtaking is challenging through these 16 corners, but there's still a lot of high-speed excitement to be found, including the flat-out turn 3 and the terrifying blind right of turn 9. And joining me once again in the commentary box today is, of course, the former World Endurance Champion, Anthony Davidson.
What a great race we have in store for us today. Valtteri looks supremely confident this weekend, and that's why he's starting from pole. Can anyone get close to him today, I wonder? One more thing to consider is the strategy element. How far can the drivers push these tyres, and who's going to blink first for fresh rubber? It'll be interesting to see if the leaders have to compromise their plan to cover off the cars behind them.
So here we are for the Spanish Grand Prix, going to 5 red lights. And away we go, getting held longer than I would like, but that's nothing I can do. It's randomized. As we get a pretty good start on everyone around us, getting past the first William and the second one, but we brake very late, what puts us into avoiding action, and that has to, well, we just have to let people back behind, because we got a legal overtaking warning there, so we had to let them back behind, or we would have got a penalty. And here we go, going into turn 4 as we get tagged on the rear right corner by our teammate Raghunathan. And I'm just that is not what we wanted to do, starting P21, not P22, because Magnussen had some penalties, but this is really having me question my decision on going really cheap for our teammate. Very frustrating. Here we are in lap 2, we finally caught back up to Raghunathan, and we're probably just going to dive from into turn, not quite sure, turn 10 I think it is. And we just get past him with a breeze, just that was really annoying, the way he just went for the dive in turn 4 and just there wasn't any room at all there. And then we had to go through this awkward sector 3 just to try and catch up to Magnussen ahead. What isn't going to be an easy overtake because he has the Ferrari engine, what still hasn't been nerfed yet. really annoying. DRS now available on lap 3. So we're going to have to try close the gap within a second, but we already have. But we're going to have to wait till turn 10, I think, to try and do the same we did on our teammate. Well, that's not going to be an easy job. As we come into this infield section, closing the gap quite a bit through the corners. Our chassis really is paying off. Like, just having a good chassis seems to be what you need around, well, most places. But you do, they really pay for it on the straights, as you saw in Vietnam, and a little bit in Baku, but the low downforce setup really helped us there. As you can see, we're just losing time to Magnussen here. As we're going into turn 10, we actually just about avoid him going through there, as we brake a lot later, as we just can do with the chassis we have, and just being a player, just knowing better places to brake than the AI. But through most of the corners, they just are perfect all the time, especially through that chicane, what I cannot do to save my life. As we are in DRS using Rich Mix, like, just close the gap a bit more, but it's not closing enough for us to make a dive bomb into turn 1. As you can see, Latifi, and I'm not quite sure who that is battling up ahead, that's going to be slowing down everyone and giving us a chance to keep up and pass Magnussen. As we take a little look there into turn 4, as we tap him a little bit, but luckily we don't break our rear wing, I mean front wing. Sorry, it's been a long day. But here we are, just trying to keep up behind him, going a little bit wide there. Now we jump into this nice, kind of cinematic off-board shot, because you don't get to see enough, like, from the cockpit view, but that's where I like to drive from. As we are, getting as close as we can through this, chicane section. As we are in DRS with Rich and Overtake. As we're closing the gap, but because he's within a second of Russell, it's gonna not be as effective with the DRS. So we have to just slot him back behind him, just stay in the slipstream, try and hold on through turn 3 with the dirty air really dragging us up wide there. Now we're coming through turn 9, really have to be careful not going too fast to go into the gravel and grass there, as we're going to try and dive bomb, only just missing Russell by locking up that front left, but we do get it done and past Magnussen. We take a little look by going a bit too fast through that right hander, giving a little bit of time to Magnussen, but not enough for him to try and get back past. So we are going to try and get past Russell on this lap, maybe getting 2 overtakes within two overtakes within 2 laps. So here we are right behind him in the slipstream. We're going to try and dive, but there wasn't enough room, especially with him and Latifi being so close together. But here we are a bit later in the same lap, as we're going through this turn 9, making sure we don't go too wide. And here we are, DRS, overtake and Rich Mix, putting it back down to standard so we don't use too much fuel. But we go way too deep, and that lets Russell back pass, and even Magnussen. We got too tight of a line there, so we get around the outside, and they just can't do much. And coming into this final sector, this final sector is so annoying most of the time, especially then as we just mount the curve too much, and that puts us well wide for the final corner. But it seems like we get DRS because we were behind after the line for when it detects. But we do not have much ERS left, as we actually come out alongside Sainz after he's made his first pit stop. First, because I think he might have to do another stop because he's only on medium tyres, and I don't think he can make medium tyres. That's all the way to lap 33. But he is going to be so much faster on these fresh tyres as we actually go side by side through this whole like first sector and middle sector. As he's still there and he only backs out as we go into this like chicane, left, right section, trying to maximise all the track going over the white line with 2 tyres, but not enough to get a penalty or warning. And then we're using like Rich again there, just to try and keep him as like far behind as we can. Actually hitting the ball up there, going a bit too tight than what the FIA will probably want, but this is only the game and the like track like limits is a bit more lenient than what you would have. As we actually hit the curb there, and that sends us just too wide for the second part of the chicane, and that gives us a warning for corner cutting. What isn't very good, because if we get too many of those, we're going to get a penalty. And Jeff is actually suggesting a new strategy to us, as we do go for a dive on Russell, only just making it past him. And Latifi there, just ahead. So let's take a look at this strategy, and it's Jeff being insane again. That he's saying keep with this current strategy or do a no stop. What makes no sense. They really need to fix that, as we're trying to keep as close to Latifi as we can, and hopefully Russell can hold up sight so he doesn't pass us like as soon as he probably will. As here we are, just trying to keep it on the black stuff as we go through that turn 9. What's really bad going behind a car, because 1, I can't really see the racing line, and 2, the dirty air just puts you out so wide. As we almost lose the rear end as we take that left hander a bit too tight and puts us on the curb. And then coming through here, these big yellow sausage curbs, that is the actual names for them, I'm not making that up. Is just annoying to get through. Now we've got DRS, overtake and Rich, so we're going to try and go down the inside, but Latifi is actually trying to defend quite a lot more than I was expecting, to push us very tight. So we're side by side through turn 1 and turn 2, and we're going to try and just go down the inside of turn 3, and he just doesn't have any speed because of turn 3 is a one-line corner, and that actually lets Carlos Sainz pass, and he's actually having a look at us through turn 4 now, but he doesn't have enough speed to go past us as we lock up a little bit going into turn 5. As we actually create a little bit of gap, but that is quickly demised by the just braking and downforce of that McLaren behind. And we go a little bit wider than we should have done, and that's let Sainz catch up and actually try and go around the outside now through this final sector. I doubt he's going to be able to hold it around the outside all the way here, but actually turns to the inside. What's really going to put us a bit offline. As you can see, we go on the gravel a little bit, but we finally just get ahead as we go into the chicane, and what makes him have to back off there. As we have to lift a little bit going through the final corner. What's not going to be good, as here comes Sainz again, and that's him just flying past with his DRS. And we don't, because we're the lead car, so we're going to have to try and get past him again. But look at those fresh tyres and just how fast the McLaren is. It just drives away. So we now have to think about the cars behind, like Latifi and Russell. At the end of lap 15 now, we're actually coming into the pits. Seems like the Williams have already made their pit stop, or like Gasly had came out in between us and the Williams. And here we are in the pit lanes. We had to go a little bit slower just to make sure we didn't go too fast into the pit lane and get a penalty, because that will ruin our race so much. We actually pit on the same lap of Mahavir. What's a bit strange, I think I might have stayed out a lap too long. Yeah, we did. We were meant to come in on lap 14, but we decided to come in on lap 15. Now we jump into lap 19 now. We haven't seen much action, but here is a bunch of people in the pit, so we're going to pass a couple guys. maybe catch someone as they come out the pits. No, everyone's still like stationary or going really slowly there. So here we are in P15 now, with Russell behind us now. Jumps at lap 25 now, big jumps because of how boring this race has been. Like no one's been catching up, or we haven't been catching up to the car ahead. Norris is the car behind us now, with that very superior McLaren, what's probably best of the midfield. And actually in real life probably better than the Ferrari. But here we are coming through turn 4 and turn 5 now. He's getting really close to our rear wing, so we need to be careful. And we actually have other cars actually joining the train behind what is Russell now. We are going very slow on these hard compound tyres, and just shows how much we need the softer compound to just be competitive against these cars. And I actually don't think that was Russell. I think that was a Mercedes, as we under like blue flag conditions. What means there's, well, as you can see, the faster car is approaching, and we need to make way and let him pass. But he's a bit too far behind as we come into this final sector, so we're gonna have to try and let him pass through the chicane. Well, after the chicane. But he doesn't. He hesitates a little bit going around the outside, but lets like Carlos. Well, no, Lando Norris, the other McLaren, pass. And I don't think we're going to be able to get back past him. We don't have DRS like he does, but we are using as much overtake as we can. We're going to try and look round the outside, but there's just no room, and we don't have the braking to get past him. And I'm afraid that's going to be him just pulling away now. Now we actually have the Renault of Ricciardo behind us. And we are just getting like overtakes left, right and centre here. But hopefully after Ricciardo, well, we don't want Ricciardo to get past, but he probably is. So after Ricciardo we actually have the Williams of Russell behind. But I'm pretty confident we won't let past. But as we go a bit on the curb right there, we have like Ricciardo up or inside quite a lot there. As we go into turn 5, locking up, really gonna like hamper us as we go through this next like section of the track. This left right chicane, real fast but easy to mess up and just lose the rear end. Like I said, long day, I've been a bit tired at the moment. As we go into this turn 10 hairpin, that's just Ricciardo pass. We try and do a switchback, but we lose the rear end a little bit, and that's just him like far away now, I guess, because we can't really like compete with the power of the, well, not really the power of the Renault, it's just the aero of the Renault, as we are like one of the worst aero packages on the grid. And that's Raikkonen like retiring from another race, the second race in a row. That guy can't get a break. I won't be surprised if he would retire like from F1 if he keeps retiring from the races. And as you can see, we're only on lap 32 and Bottas has already finished the race because he did lap us, what means we don't have to do the full 33 lap distance. So here we are finishing P16 for the Spanish Grand Prix. Not too shabby, saying we started 21st. But oh, we actually get driver of the day, what I wasn't really expecting because we didn't do the perfect race.
So here is the final finishings for everyone. Bottas wins the race by almost a 5-second gap, and Mahavir Raghunathan finishing last, only brought up to 21st because of Kimi Raikkonen retiring. But that's been the Spanish Grand Prix. Hope you enjoyed the race, and next time we'll be at Baku because I have sadly lost the footage from Monaco.